Hi, I'm Dan Franklin. I'm a teacher currently teaching physics in San Diego County. It's definitely been an interesting week for K through 12 schools across the nation. Um, I generally make videos to teach my students, but I thought this time I'd make a video series to maybe foster discussion and sharing among educators. Because with the recent school closings, we as educators have been asked some tough questions by administrators, peers, and the community at large. Um, no matter what you think or how you feel about all the stuff that's going on with the coronavirus, the fact is that schools have been closed, and we've been asked, specifically I've been asked, all the teachers at my school have been asked to come up with some things I've never really done before as a teacher. Parts of it I've done, but not all of it. And I know I'm not the only one, so I hope we can maybe figure this out together. To do that, I hope to do maybe some think aloud kind of a things where I put my thinking out there, which means sometimes maybe there'll be some bad ideas and we get to work through that and change your mind, but we get to see what those ideas are. I also hope that we can learn from it and also learn together. So before I go too much further, though, I guess I should put out a disclaimer. These thoughts are my own, not official statements of my school or anything like that. The thoughts in these videos really are not meant to address any other issues, political, practical, impractical, or otherwise dealing with the spread of COVID-19. The simple fact is schools have been closed, and I've been asked to come up with how do we enhance or enable students to continue learning while they're not at school. And we'll talk more about some of those details in a minute. And hopefully we can help each other and keep our students engaged. And maybe if we do engage with conversation with each other, maybe these discussions can lead to further discussions down the road about the future of education, maybe where it should go, can go. Who knows? So let's find out. Background about me. In a nutshell, I graduated from the United States Air Force Academy, flew C-130s with the Air Force for 10 years. This taught me the benefit of preparation and training, because the saying is you always fall to the level of your training and rarely rise to the occasion. I think we're all hopeful that the school will be closed for the 4 weeks that it's been closed, and that we'll be right back into school and can finish out the year like normal. But who knows what'll happen. So just a little bit of thinking, maybe a little bit of talking about it. Maybe it'll just open up new avenues of working with students in our regular classroom. After the military, I taught high school science in Texas for 8 years. 2 of those years included being a master teacher, working with teachers to improve instruction for the benefit of our students. While there, it was one of the toughest things I've ever done, mainly because I was doing most of the learning. I had so much to learn, and I learned so much from those teachers. They were just amazing. I learned more about teaching in those 2 years than any of the other years of teaching combined. So shout out to all of you. Never can say thank you enough for all of the work and help that you gave me during that time. This really taught me that other people have better ideas that I'd love to hear about. And so I really do hope that I get to hear from you. I do have a principal certification along with a master's in educational leadership, which was done online. And that's why that's actually important in this discussion. But I also did a master's in, and then got an MBA on campus, and all of those, that's within the last 4 years. So I've seen online learning. Granted, it's at college, so it's at a master's level, so that's a little bit different than K through 12. But there's some things that you can do at a college level online that I don't think you can really get away with for a K through 12 environment. We'll talk about that, I hope. Right now I'm teaching in physics here in California. I've been here a little over 2 years now. So that's a little bit of a background about me. The issues that I see that we're facing in this time period right now is we all know as educators that student growth slows over an extended break. Generally, students do grow. Some of the achievement gap stuff that we address is because students from families with that are like students who are impoverished generally slow at a slower rate or grow at a slower rate because they just don't have the opportunities that more affluent students might have. We know this happens at over any break. My daughter, who has autism, special needs, if there was any break, even if it's for 3 days, we see some regression and some slowing in her overall growth. So that's one of our concerns because students are on an extended break. Students also thrive on stability and routine, and this is a big disruption, especially after the normal spring break time ends, and now it's time to go back to school. Well, they're back in summer. So I think it's really important that we as educators are maybe providing them with some opportunities to continue to learn and grow, so that they can still feel connected to the school community, connected to each other, and connected to their learning. One of the challenges with that's driving our discussion a lot is equitable access. There are the students who need the supplemental learning the most are also the ones who generally have the most difficulty getting access to it. So this is probably important right now because on Thursday of this last week, we were told, prepare to do online schooling and schooling won't stop. And then Friday, it came out that we just can't do that because what about those students who don't have internet, don't have access to certain things? It just wouldn't be fair to them. So that's a very big discussion, and that's just a nutshell of what it is. But basically, the bottom line is that's what caused our school to come out and say that as teachers, we cannot do any mandatory information. It can't really be anything that will be for credit, because our school's is on a quarter system, so we're a little different. So we just finished out the equivalent of a semester, and so we're about to start a new semester. That's a translation of what we're doing. Bottom line is our learning has to be supplemental, or I can't think of the word that we use for it, but it has to be maintain and maybe allow them to grow, review stuff that we've already covered. So this is really our challenge, and so this is where I'm actually focusing first. So I'm tasked with coming up with some stuff to give to students to keep them, keep their minds working, keep them engaged. So the learning must be accessible by students. So that means it must be simple. It's got to be engaging. I've got some ideas to make it fun. So maybe it's not just here, take some notes, but here's a little science experiment you can do, or something like that. I don't know. We'll see. Second, it can't be a mandatory assignment. So this means it really can only, for me, especially at a high school level, it really means we can't go forward in our content in physics, but we can go back and we can review what we've learned, especially vocabulary, because vocabulary is so key. We can practice skills, like some of our problem-solving skills, and it has to be without penalty to students, especially when we come back to school, because I'm anticipating in 4 weeks when the closer is done, we come back to school and school starts like normal. Those kids that missed out, who maybe weren't able to access this stuff, they can't be penalized for that. So I'm sure there's more for me to think about, but right now the problem that's really I'm dealing with and I want to jump into, I'm going to use Jamboard, partly because it's a new tool I've discovered with Google Suite. But let's talk about where my issue is with the situation for K through 12, especially as someone who is fairly tech savvy. I do flipped instruction all the time. I do a lot of stuff on the computer, but generally well, I'll just get on into it on the Jamboard. So thank you for watching. I will try to post some links, or at least some contact information, so that we can begin communicating. So thank you for watching, and have a great day.